Hey, I'm Max Mills, and I'm a Christian, and one of the biggest objections I hear about my faith is that there's no evidence for it. Actually, there's significant evidence for it, and I'm going to go over some of it in this video and some of it in later videos if I make any. This evidence is founded in the Old Testament, where the Jews made a bunch of prophecies about a man they call the Messiah. And Christianity is founded in the belief that the Messiah is Jesus. And we're going to look at the prophecies and compare them to Jesus and see if they do in fact match up. Now there's some objections that I'm going to go over and why they're invalid. The first one is that the Old Testament has been edited to match Jesus. We've actually got some texts of the Old Testament from several centuries before Jesus was born that say the same thing we have today. And so that doesn't work. And then there's the objection that the New Testament was written to match the Old Testament, and that's not true. And while for some prophecies that may fit, for the one I'm going to go over in this video, we've got historical sources, non-Christian historical sources, who validate everything we need to know. What do we need to know? First off, we need to know that Jesus was a Jewish rabbi. We need to know that he died in the reign of Pontius Pilate. And then from the Bible, the only thing we need to know is that he was born under the reign of Herod, and that he that his ministry lasted for 3 years. So, let's hop right into the verse here. No one understand this. From the issuing of the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the Anointed One, the ruler, comes. That's the Messiah. There will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. It will be rebuilt with a street and a trench, but in times of trouble. After the 62 sevens, the Anointed One, the Messiah, will be cut off and have nothing. Okay, so this is predicting the death of the Messiah. It says, given after 7 sevens and 62 sevens, after the decree to rebuild Jerusalem is issued. Now, let's find out when that decree was issued first. There are 4 possibilities. The first is in 536 BC. Cyrus issued such a decree, but the Jews stopped rebuilding and they said this is not the right time. Now it's not when we're supposed to do this. We're going to stop and wait. So it wasn't rebuilt. So that one's out. Then in 522 BC, Darius issued a similar thing, and at this point, just the temple was rebuilt. So when in the passage it says it will be rebuilt with streets and a trench, that didn't happen. It was just the temple. The city was not rebuilt yet. So that one's out. In 457 BC, Artaxerxes issued another decree that said they sent him to rebuild Jerusalem, and he actually funded the rebuilding. He sent them gold and so on from other places all over the place. And the 4th decree is in 444 BC, when Nehemiah approached Artaxerxes and said, "What's the deal, brother? This has been going on for over a decade, and they still aren't finished. Can I go help them?" And he said, "Yes, go help them rebuild the city." And I think it was the first Artaxerxes one that occurred in 457 BC, because the first 2 are out, as we've discussed, and the last one is just kind of a continuation of the first one. So, let's take 457 BC. Now let's discuss what these sevens are. It's agreed by all Jewish and Christian scholarship, pretty unanimously with some fringe opposition, that these sevens are years. And the reason we think that is because of earlier context in the verse where it discusses a multiple of 7 as being years, and none of the other units make sense. I mean, he couldn't have been dead in 7 minutes or 7 days or 7 years or 7 centuries. The first early ones because he wasn't born yet, so how could he have died? And the last ones because it's just a ridiculously long time that doesn't fit with some of the other stuff that we know about the Messiah. So, years makes sense. Now, let's do some math. 7 sevens and 62 sevens. 7 times 7 plus 62 times 7 is 483 years. So 483 years after 457 BC. Now first, let's fast forward a little bit and look at Jesus. Jesus was born a couple years before Herod died, and Herod died in 4 BC. So that puts Jesus' death at around 6 or 7 BC. He lived to be 33 years old. We get that because his ministry lasted 3 years, and he was a Jewish rabbi, which means his ministry would have started at the age of 30. If you add those numbers together, you get that he died in 27 AD. Now, is that the time predicted? Well, let's add 483 to 457 BC, 483 years later, and we get the same number. 27 AD, which is also the year that Pontius Pilate reigned. He reigned from 26 to 36 AD, so it fits what we know with him biblically and historically. And so Jesus died as predicted in the Old Testament in 27 AD. So there's some Christian misconceptions and some Jewish misperceptions, and we're going to go over both. What Christians like to do is they like to take the Hebrew years, and they say, well, Hebrew years are shorter, so let's add them to the last date, the 444 BC, and we get 33 AD. Now, there's a couple flaws here. The first is that they neglect to notice that Hebrews actually used intercalary months, so a difference after 500 years would be about 2 days. So it's not really a valid method of calculation, and he would have actually have died in 39 AD, which is years after Pilate was gone, and it would have put his birth years after Herod was gone, and it just doesn't make any sense. So, the reason they do this is to try and match things up to what they are traditionally, because our calendar is based on him having been born in 0 BC or AD or whatever. So, it's not good. And Jewish misperceptions. The Jews like to say that although it does mean years, which they agree upon, this passage isn't talking about the Messiah. Well, we actually have ancient Jewish sources from during and before Jesus came along that say this is talking about the Messiah. The Messiah is going to come any day now. Do you know how people always say there were a bunch of Messiahs when Jesus was around? There were a bunch of people who, there was a reason for that. It's because this is when the Messiah was supposed to come. And also because of Rome, they really wanted the Messiah to come. So, this is one of those cases, and there are many others, and I'll be getting into that if I make any later videos, in which the Jews have actively changed their interpretation of the verse to match what, to negate the idea of Jesus as the Messiah. And so that's why the Jews have missed it, and that's what the Christians do wrong. And in conclusion, I'd like to say in conclusion Jesus is the Messiah, but I'm going to let you guys figure that one out yourself when you watch this video and any other videos that I may make. Thank you for your time. That's it. Done. Okay. Are you still rolling it? Okay, turn it